Welcome back, Mets fans, to another week of Raise the Apple, and we just don't have to talk about the Mets today or anything that's going on with this team. 10 losses in a row for the New York Mets, and what an awful last week and a half it has been with this team. So let's talk about literally anything else. Just kidding. Let's talk about the Mets for a little bit. Uh, 10 losses in a row. I mean, and they have been awful losses to watch. It's not like, they're losing nail biters every night. They look lifeless. They look like they're getting, frankly, they look like they're getting their ass beat every single night. Today, they were in it with the Cubs until Carson Kelly, the 3-run homer, and now they're looking to avoid getting swept again tomorrow by the Cubs, looking to avoid an 11th straight loss. Longest losing streak in Mets franchise history since I think it's 2004. And I really, watching these games and reading the box scores after the games and just trying to figure out some sort of thought process with what's going on with this team, I really can't. I don't know what the problem is. You have people that want to blame Lindor. You have people that are blaming Stearns. You have a lot of people that want Mendy fired. And frankly, when it all comes down to it, the Mets just aren't playing good enough for what this roster is. In sports, we have fans, and myself included, have this thing where coaches and GMs and front office and that when things go wrong, they're the ones at fault, that they're the ones that get fired. I don't think firing Mendy solves the problems with the Mets right now. If you fire Mendy right now, they're not magically going to start hitting. They're not magically going to start pitching lights out. That's not how it works. For me, the roster is just not playing good enough for what it is capable of. And part of me thinks that, understanding that, yes, the Mets wanted to break up the core with McNeil and Nimmo and Pete. They wanted to break it up, fine. This new core that they've brought in, it's not working right now. And I've been saying in the post-game videos that it's only April, and you can keep saying that, but you can only say that for so long. When it gets to May and June, oh, it's still so early, and then before you know it, it's trade deadline, you're 15 games under 500, and you're selling everyone off because the season was just a disaster. I don't think that's going to be the case with this team. I think not having Juan Soto hurts them a lot, but I also think the underperformance from a lot of other guys is also been an issue. Carson Bench was good the first couple games of the year and then has frankly not been great. And obviously he's still young. He's only been in the majors for a month now, so it's, you don't put too much into that. But guys like Semien have underperformed. Bichette got off to a slow start, but is starting to hit better a little bit. Beatty's off to a slow start. Lindor's off to a bad start. A lot of guys are just simply underperforming. And when everyone is underperforming at once, you have a repeat of 2025, except the pitching started melting down, and the offense can't go out and score 10 runs every night when pitching is giving up 11. So it's very frustrating, and understandably so, why a lot of Mets fans are upset and pissed off, and frankly, why they want some of the things. But some of the stuff that is out there, to me, is just extremely over the top. Firing Mendy and Stearns is not going to happen. People wanting Lindor traded. The Lindor stuff is actually mind-boggling to me. The stuff that Mets fans, I know there's a lot of, Mets Twitter is just a cluster of I don't even know how to nicely say it. Mets Twitter is dumb sometimes. A lot of the people on there just do not have functioning brains. And I don't know if they say the stuff they say and they genuinely believe it, or they're doing it to be funny and get clicks and all that stuff. But trading Lindor is perhaps the dumbest thing the Mets could do right now. And I really hope we're not in a position where the Mets are genuinely entertaining that offer or any of that notion, because to me that's crazy. I understand like the no captain thing, like I don't care about that. That's stupid. But I don't know why the Mets would even do that, and I don't know where it came from. A lot of people are really putting a lot into this politics stuff. So a lot, I think it was the Post. Essentially in the offseason, the Post put out this kind of clickbaity story, and the New York media just kind of added on to it that there was an issue in the clubhouse because of political differences between Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. Part of that was because Lindor's wife is a very outspoken political person, so kind of guilty by association type thing, and it just became this stupid side story that shouldn't have been a story to begin with, but because it's New York media, that's the way it becomes. And now it's carried into this year where people are genuinely holding it against Lindor, his alleged political beliefs. We don't know which way, how he falls one way or another, because he's never talked about it. He's been kind of guilty by association because of how vocal his wife has been about political matters. It is just beyond stupid that we're genuinely putting that much thought into where Francisco stands politically, and now we want to get rid of him because of that. There's some other things that Mets fans have, some weird, like, stupid, quirky things, like, oh, the Mets have this record since this incident and stuff like that. That's not how baseball works, and I understand that this fan base is starved for a championship and ever since Steve Cohen took over, Mets fans have been waiting and waiting and waiting, and we've gotten close but can't seem to get over the hump of getting to the World Series. I don't know what people I just don't understand this fan base sometimes. Where they get, I mean, the Franks the Tanks of the world don't put any stock into what people like him say. I mean, it's funny from an entertainment value just watching him rant like that, but genuinely taking into account what he says and thinking that that's how it is crazy to me. The Mets just flat out stink right now, and it's not because of political beliefs. It's not because the team did this or that, the other thing. They're just not playing good right now. And I think when Soto comes back from injury, last I saw, he's still on track to come back as expected. I think that will help a lot. I just think the pitching right now, it started great. It's starting to mellow out a little bit. I mean, Freddie Peralta was solid today. Clay Holmes has been solid. Nolan McLean has been fantastic. Peterson has been rough a little bit. And Senga has been rough. A lot of people want to be done with the Senga experiment, but, you know, okay, fine. Move Senga out of the rotation, put Sean Manaea in. Sean Manaea hasn't been fantastic either. His role has been very important for this team, and he's done a great job in that role, but the last couple outings, he's gotten beaten up a little bit, and he's had to sit there and wear it. So, I don't know, like, Christian Scott has been pitching fantastic at AAA. Jonah Tong has been solid. He's had a couple rough outings, but for the most part, it's been good. I don't necessarily think it's the pitching that's the problem. To me, it's the offense, because the names in this lineup and what they've done in their careers and recently in their careers, it's not like we have a bunch of 40-year-olds who haven't done anything in the last 10 years. What this lineup is and the way it's constructed should be performing a lot better than it has been. Luis Robert has been good. He's probably been the only... Alvy's had a solid start to the year. Vientos has been Vientos. He's a very streaky hitter. Jared Young, before he got hurt, has been great. But Luis Robert has been the Mets' best hitter this year, consistently. And that's huge for the Mets, but not if Lindor is struggling. He's only got 1 home run and 1 RBI. Soto obviously has been hurt, so you can't take too much into that. Bichette has been better despite his slow start. He has gotten better and turned around a little bit, but Semien hasn't worked out to start the year. And in that trade itself looks crazy because Nimmo is off to a fantastic start with Texas. So I do have a feeling that trade is going to end up biting the Mets in the butt a little bit. But right now, I mean, obviously it looks like a dumb trade because Semien has not been great. He's hitting a little over 200 out of the gate, and Brandon Nimmo is hitting over 300 right now. So that's why baseball is a stupid sport sometimes, because of things like this. It's easy to sit there and say, blow it all up, fire Mendoza, fire Stearns, trade Senga, trade Peterson, do this, do that. It's easy to say that now when the Mets have lost 10 in a row. If you win, no one's having these conversations. In 2024, no one was calling for Mendy to be... People were calling for Mendy to be fired in May when we were 11 games under 500. And then the Mets were 2 wins away from the World Series, and everyone wanted Mendy to win Manager of the Year. But instead they went with Pat Murphy. And the Mets fans were pissed that Mendoza didn't win Manager of the Year. It's just... Winning solves everything. As long as you win, no one cares how it happens or what happens as long as you keep winning. And the Mets have not won in 10 days, and it just looks lifeless. I mean, they brought up Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham has a bit of a reputation for being a fiery, animated individual. And I think the thought process with the Mets was bringing him up. You know, he's a professional hitter, but also that little edge that he brings, kind of fire up the clubhouse a little bit. That hasn't worked out. And now you got Jorge Polanco finally getting put on the injured list after what felt like he's been dealing with issues for the entire season. Finally put on the injured list, and Hayden Senger getting brought back up. Very frustrating. Very annoying watching the Mets right now. And this was a big week for them. You know, having a series with the Dodgers, having a series with the Cubs, 2 contending teams. It was a huge series for them, and minimum, they're going to go 1-6. If they can win tomorrow, they'll be 1-6 through that stretch. When that's a stretch that I could argue minimum they should have gone 3-3. But when they come home, their schedule lightens up a little bit because they're home against the Twins, the Rockies, the Nationals. Then they go out to the Angels and the Rockies. So it does lighten up a little bit, and I think that'll be a good launching pad for them. But I know the Twins have gotten off to a solid start, but I mean, we don't honestly think that I don't think many of us think the Twins are going to maintain where they are right now. But it's just, something's got to happen. I don't know if it's like a players only meeting or like a Terry Collins moment where he vented in front of the media. Mendoza doesn't seem like that type, which I'm fine with. Like, it's okay. That, to me, it's okay. It's not a big deal that he's not a rah-rah guy like that. It's just, it's easy to say all these things. The Mets shouldn't have done this. The Mets should have done that when they're losing. But winning solves everything. And when you have, I think Alvey still leads the team in home runs. And you have Lindor not doing anything. You have Bichette off to that slow start and coming around. You've had Semien get off to a bad start. It's just very annoying time to be a Mets fan right now. And again, it's April 18th right now. If come June, the Mets could very well be 10 games over 500. That's just the way baseball works. Right now, the Mets are 6.5 games back, obviously in last place. And record-wise, I have to fact check. In terms of just winning percentage, they are tied with the Royals for the worst record in baseball. That's really cool. But 5.5 games back of a wild card spot. So, kind of going to have to wait and see. It sounds lame to say that. It sounds like a weak answer to say that, but I really don't know. To me, the problem with this team is the lineup. And not because of what the lineup is, it's because of the lineup underperforming. If the lineup is playing to their abilities that everyone was expecting them to be at and what they can perform at, I think we're having a very different conversation. I think I forgot what it was on. I saw it on Twitter. I think it's 4 teams have made the postseason when they've had a 10-plus game losing streak in the regular season. But this does matter that it is in April. A 10-game losing streak in April, to me, does not carry the same weight as a 10-game losing streak in September. Come September, if the Mets are 3 games over 500 and they're 2 games out of a wild card spot, no one's talking about that they lost 10 games in a row in April. But if the Mets are if this is a 2022 situation where the Mets are on fire all year, they're cruising through the regular season, and then come September, the last week to 2 weeks of the regular season, they just fall apart and limp into the playoffs, or don't even make it at all, they miss by a game like they did last year, then that's what everyone's going to talk about. No one's going to acknowledge the 10-game losing streak in April. So I think this homestand will be very helpful for them, just considering who they're playing. And I think they have to get Peterson and Senga going. Because Holmes has been good, but obviously got shaken up a little bit. McLean, I'm just not worried about him at all. And Freddie Peralta's been, he's not striking out 15 like he was in Milwaukee, but he's been pretty solid. It's Peterson, who I still like in this rotation a lot, and I still think he's going to be a key piece to this Mets team. And Senga. I've said it all off season. I've said it at the start of this year. The Mets need Kodai Senga healthy. The Mets need Kodai Senga pitching like his rookie year. Kodai Senga, and he has shown it. We've seen glimpses of it in his first couple starts. Despite what the line score says at the end of the outing, the last 2 or 3 starts he's been batted around, but he's had glimpses where it's like, all right, it's there. Now we just need to put it all together. And I think that Senga is going to be the key piece in this rotation, and it just needs to start clicking before it's too late. Because there will be a point where it is too late, and then Stearns and Cohen are going to be faced with a decision come trade deadline time where they are going to go. What are we going to do? Do we stand pat? Do we sell off some of these older guys? Do we go all in? Well, they eventually will have to answer those questions. Trying to be optimistic because it is only April. We're not even a month into the regular season, and we've already got a 10-game losing streak. So Mets fans are a different breed, I guess, with how they go about these things. But we're going to have to see. So kind of looking around Major League Baseball a little bit, one thing I did want to talk about is Mike Trout. The year that Mike Trout has gotten off to, on the year, he's hitting .236 with a .984 OPS. He's got 7 home runs and 16 RBIs. Here's the crazy thing. Scored 22 runs, which leads the league. Also leads the league with a 1.4 WAR. Here's the kicker with that. His WAR every year since, we'll go 2020, since the COVID year. 1.8, 1.9, 6.1 in 2022. 2.9, 1.0, 1.5, 1.4. Obviously, a lot of that is because of injuries. His WAR is already almost higher than each of the last 2 seasons, and we're 20 games into this year. Now, are we getting, 10 WAR Mike Trout anymore? Probably not. But to me, baseball is better when Mike Trout is doing Mike Trout things. I really hope that when Mike Trout's career is all said and done, we're not having this conversation of we're not talking about the fall off of his career because of his injuries, but we're just talking about how awesome his career was. And I know I said the same thing last year with Kershaw, where I hope that when we're talking about Kershaw's legacy, we're not talking about how much he declined towards the end of his career, but how awesome the peak and the bulk of his career was. And I think that's the same sentiment for Mike Trout, because when you look back on it, Mike Trout to me is a arguably, maybe not arguably, a top 10 baseball player of all time. And I think that he kind of almost indirectly passed the torch to Ohtani being the next, one of the game's all-time greats. But I just really hope that baseball fans in the baseball world doesn't forget how awesome Mike Trout has been in his career despite the injuries. And the fact that he is getting off to the start he has been this year is fantastic. And I do hope that that continues this year. And a resurgence Mike Trout season. You got the Stephen A's of the world saying that Mike Trout should demand to be traded from the Angels. Mike Trout shouldn't be punished by baseball fans for wanting to be loyal to the Angels. Loyalty in sports is very not common anymore. So seeing a guy like Trout, despite everything he's been through in his career, despite the horrible organization the Angels are, having Mike Trout stay loyal to them this entire time truly is something special. I just hope baseball fans really can appreciate and hopefully acknowledge when his career is done how special of a talent that Mike Trout is. So the early portion of the season, it's still hard to tell a lot of things. I mean, the Phillies are 3 games under 500. They're down not much higher above the Mets, but they are down there with the Mets. Boston's gotten off to an awful start. The Royals have gotten off to a disappointing start. Same with Houston. So it's been a very interesting start to the 2026 MLB season. But Mets fans, take a breath. Yes, losing 10 in a row sucks. But at the end of the day, nothing matters until there's an E or an X next to your team's name. Once there's an X that they've clinched, anything can happen in the playoffs after that. Once there's an E, well then obviously that's that. But until there's an E or an X next to the Mets name, I'm not giving up, and I hope a lot of Mets fans don't either. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Raise the Apple. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow on TikTok and Twitter at RTA_pod. We will catch you all next week. Hopefully the Mets can salvage a win tomorrow and get back on track. And then they're back for a long homestand featuring the Twins, the Rockies, and the Nationals. That National Series will be the Mets' first taste of NL East action of the year, so that's exciting. Again, thank you for tuning in, and let's go Mets.